So his question, do I hire a coach to teach me the ropes and target specific types of races? Or do I dabble in everything from mountain bike to cyclocross to road and gravel? And should I skip the coach thing and just sign up for TrainerRoad? And if so, do I start with a high volume plan? I'm really looking forward to this change and would appreciate any insight on the cycling world. So this is like, well, first of all, insight into the cycling world. You're listening to the right podcast for that. The other side of it too is I would follow Cat3 memes, Feed Zone memes, all those other ones that you can find on Instagram, because that'll familiarize you with the culture in a much more enjoyable way rather than showing up at a road race and seeing people that actually live that meme lifestyle.
Help you never take yourself.
You know, get to know from memes before you meet the real people. But honestly, this is almost like a fun thing. It's almost like if you had $1 million, like how would you spend it right now?
It is.
Yeah, right? 'Cause, oh my goodness.
I kind of see him like a junior rider where you just want to try everything. Try anything and everything that's interesting to you, because you'll find something you absolutely love.
Right?
Yeah.
And he's like a junior rider who's going to be the next international phenom, because he can tolerate ridiculously high training loads, and he's already got a very high FTP.
Yeah, it's pretty exciting.
It's a kid in a candy store.
Yeah. So tons of high weekly training load right now. The guy has it already in stock, right? He can tolerate quite a lot.
Yeah, and it's probably going to be low intensity though, and that's with the triathlon
That's
stuff.
the point I wanted to make.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so you can't get 19 hours at 900 TSS. I could get like 12 hours and get 900 TSS with intensity. Mm-hmm. And that is probably too why his 5-minute power is so low. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. But think of this, he's got this huge base like built over years, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
So now, Chad, the question about well, let's go into the plan volume. Then we'll talk later about what kind of plans.
Okay.
I think this is one of the few people who could start with high volume right away.
Yeah.
I don't know why not, because it's even the highest. What does that jump up to? You're doing it right now,
800 or something.
Yeah.
Yep.
So even at its highest point, it's already less than he's used to tolerating on a pretty regular basis.
It's a little different though.
I was just going to say the composition of the training is different. So now he's working on something that's more akin to muscular endurance and not just aerobic endurance. So the intensity jumps up enough for me still to be a little worried with making a high volume recommendation. Mm-hmm. And honestly, I don't know how he's ramped up to the point he is right now, but he could use maybe a little downturn in activity, a little recovery time, and he could do that via a mid-volume plan, see if that mid-volume is in fact something he can tolerate well, and then jump up to the high volume. Yeah. And I know the composition of the mid versus the high when it comes to the sweet spot plans is quite a bit different. The mid's mixed, whereas the high is strictly sweet spot. But it would expose him to some types of training that he hasn't done, start shifting emphasis to different energy systems. I think that would actually be a really beneficial way for him to start.
Yeah.
I think two points that I want to make on this. This is a great example of why we have said not all TSS is created equal, right?
Yeah.
Like this is like exhibit A of that. And it might feel really tough to do 900 TSS when it's all structured and higher intensity.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I mean, 900 TSS, if we go out and we ride 3 hours every day at 60%, is basically what we did in Hawaii and dial it back a little bit. Mm-hmm. At the end of the week, you feel great. But if you jump into 900 TSS of sweet spot work over the course of a week, it's going to really ruin most people.
Yeah.
The other point that I wanted to make too is the fact that if he does start with a mid-volume, that will give him some more time to just ride and maybe get familiar with things. Who knows? In this case, Brian might have, and Brian's, by the way, watching in the chat right now. So, hey, Brian. So if Brian, in this case, you've been spending a ton of time in aero position and you haven't been working on cornering and you haven't been working on anything else like that, this could be, if you started with a mid-volume plan, it might give you the intensity that you need to get familiar with that, then also affords you the time to get out and to work on skills and to get more acquainted with just riding the road bike as a road biker rather than a guided missile, which is a TT, right? A TT bike. So it could help.
Brian, in the chat right now, say what your goals are. What do you want to do? Like, do you want to race and be competitive, just have fun, national championship, do like big events, something like that? But based on so you wrote down mountain bike, cross, road, and gravel. Based on your power profile, the easiest one I think for you to get into would be gravel. Gravel's got the most it feels like triathlon to me. Everyone's very supportive. It's going to be not as much like 5-minute power or big surges. It's going to be just sustained power, like probably sweet spot anaerobic stuff over many hours.
Yep.
The one that would be probably road. I'll just go through them all. Road. Depending on the course, you're probably not going to get dropped until the end, because if you don't have good 5-minute power or like a breakaway, that is where it's like 1 5-minute power. happens all the time in road races where the separation happens.
And that thrusts him right into the world of mass start racing too. Whereas gravel racing,
you can ride by yourself.
Yeah, exactly. You can decide.
Yeah, it's mass start, but it's not the crazy.
With a road race, you do everything you can to stay with the group. When gravel racing, you can kind of call your day as you see it.
I'm assuming Brian's had some experience riding in a pack, because if you're this level, you just naturally probably ride with people.
Probably
you're
have
5 watts.
Safe assumption.
If you're 5 watts per kilo and never ridden with anyone, that's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
Cross, that's probably going to be your big, like cross and mountain, I'm guessing is going to be your biggest weakness, because it's all about
Highly
high
technical
power
and energy demands
exactly.
all over the board.
The opposite of triathlon, although so much fun. If you want to do that. And then also crit racing. I think
is a ton of fun.
Brian, if you want to, let's see if he's responded yet. Get competitive, do stage races there in a year or two. Okay, so
stage racing, cool.
I was going to say that. Brian, you are a Cat 1 racer. If you want to be competitive, crits, road races, and stage races, and with your TT, you should be able to destroy
you
and
do
all of
really
that.
well.
Yep, I think you can get to Cat 1 if you do enough races in one season, if not 2 seasons, at 5 watts per kilo. I don't know how much you weigh, but it could be hard if you're like 130 pounds. But if you're 160 with 5 watts, you're going to walk through it. Well, I think we have another question about this coming up, but for you, so these early categories, upgrade as fast as you can, because it's going to be no competition for you.
Right.
You got to get those 10 starts, go off the front.
Yeah.
It's going to be really easy.
Yeah.
And then also watch our videos on YouTube, YouTube/TrainerRoad. Pete has analyzed my races and Jonathan's races. Pete is such a great wealth of knowledge for cycling tactics, and you will learn a whole bunch of stuff. But again, it's hard to apply them if you can just ride away from everyone in the field.
In fact, we just posted, you can go on there, we just posted from an Omnium that we had. We had a TT, a road race, and a criterium. And we just posted the road racing criterium videos from that. We didn't do the TT because I don't think that would be very interesting, but who knows? And we walked through all the different tactics that came out and how you race an Omnium different from a stage race, but also the principles in many regards also apply to a stage race. Really good videos. You guys should check them out. And then we have another one coming up tomorrow where Pete and I break down all the do's and don'ts of a breakaway, of basically like how to consider the elements, how to consider your position on the course and relative to the other people in the group, and then basically with the end result being how to get rid of people in a breakaway or how to keep people in, and then also how to get away from a breakaway or how to stay in, how to use it. So it's tons of good information. Can I add one thing on gravel?
You can add as many things as you'd like, Jonathan.
Thanks, Nate. I'll take that. He's the thing about the gravel part that's interesting, and I think a lot of people don't think about this really with gravel, but if you look at it, there are some light riders that do well in gravel, but big riders naturally tend to do better in it. And a lot of that is because the surface, just rolling along that surface, sucks out a static wattage out of everybody across the board.
Yeah,
right?
we're the best cobble racers. Same idea.
Same idea. So if my FTP is 100 watts and then Chad's is 400 watts, and let's say that riding across the cobbles takes 20 watts out of us, that 20 watts is a much greater percentage of my threshold than it is for Chad. So as a result, it's going to be tougher for me to carry the same pace and to hold with the groups, that sort of thing. So having a higher threshold and being able to have that higher sustained power, that sort of thing, being used to putting out power for a really long duration, I think you'll find you'll do really well at gravel. And then the final point on gravel is I think a lot of stage races are adding in gravel races now. We saw it in Cascade last year. Chico's done it for
Gravel
quite
stages.
some time. Gravel stage,
segments.
gravel segment within it. Yeah. So it's an important thing to familiarize yourself with regardless.
Brian's 145, and he's done a 52 for 40K. So he's pretty much like you. He can. So at that weight, I would actually, instead of doing like a dirty Kanza, although that is like a flatter gravel.
Lots of rolls. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's still the long climbs at 5 watts per kilo. Lots of separation is going to happen. I'm thinking he's pretty much you.
Yeah.
He can destroy.
He stands to do really well at stage races.
Yeah. So
especially if they start with a time trial.
For plans, what I would have him do, Chad, and you back me up if I'm wrong. Sweet spot base, 1 and 2, general build, and then rolling road race. I think that would be probably a pretty good mix where you could do
nice
crits, TTs, and road racing, and you'd probably be good at all of that, and not so much intensity, but a good amount of intensity and threshold work.
And it plays on all of his strengths and helps him develop some things that he hasn't really addressed. Can't even call them weaknesses. He just hasn't addressed them.
Yeah, that's a great point.
Thank you.
That's a really good point.
Yes, because don't pigeonhole yourself, Brian, and be like, I have no anaerobic power, because you've been training long flow distance at 27 hours a week,
Right.
you're going to be good at that.
Yeah, I don't know how to ride tight switchbacks, stuff like that. Well, it's not a weakness. You just haven't built it yet. It takes everybody, and it's tough for everybody. So, yeah, awesome.
If you like this video, make sure you give us a thumbs up.
If you didn't like this video, you can give it a thumbs down, but let us know what you would have done differently in the comments below.
If you want to see more of these videos, make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel. And if you want to become a faster cyclist, check out TrainerRoad.com.
Do it.
If you think I have better hair than Jonathan, give it a thumbs up. If not, leave a comment.
My hair is better than his.